welcome back. Now, my next guest has just arrived back from an exhausting world concert tour. He once called himself the Electric Liberace, but Liberace never wore windscreen wipers on his sunglasses, did he? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John. You certainly know how to hurt a guy, don't you?
Why? What have I done now?
Well, look at me. I feel very drab. I mean, flat holes.
You're not going to start about my shoes again. Last time was only you had a go at me about my shoes.
No, but they've got a bit more spectacular. They're now diamante studded and everything, aren't they?
Well,
Is it revealing anything to say? Is it giving anything away to say that I would like everybody to wish you a happy birthday?
Oh,
it's his
God.
birthday, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
In my introduction...
24 again.
Again?
Again?
Are you a steady 24?
A steady 24. It's a good age to be a steady 24.
Right. In my introduction at the very beginning of the programme, pardon me, I mentioned the fact that you'd adopted the name now of Hercules. Would you like to explain to a panting nation why you've called yourself Hercules?
Well, when I changed my name from Reginald Kenneth Dwight to Elton John by deed poll, I just wanted a middle name. So the only thing I could think of was Steptoe's horse, which was called Hercules. So I thought, because nobody ever uses their middle names, really, unless you're a sort of royalty or titled. So.
Or the President of the United States.
Quite right. So I just, Hercules. My mother went crazy. She hated it. Oh, that's Steptoe's horse, she said. Well, no one ever used it, but I mean, it's also the title of one of our songs as well.
But it's got nothing to do with muscle and brawn and the fact...
Certainly not. I'm one of the weakest people out. I tell you, folks.
Are you? Do you do it at home? Do you have any of those muscle machines?
No, not at all. No, I don't do any exercise at all apart from training with Watford, and had to get that one in, sorry. And just on stage, that's all the training I get, and the odd tennis match, but that's about it.
But on stage, presumably, in the middle of a concert, you lose a lot of weight.
Yes, but then you sweat so much and you lose that amount of weight, and then you come off stage and have one Coca-Cola and you put it all back on again. So it doesn't really matter, really. It just keeps you in trim. You don't lose weight. Yeah. It's very hard to lose weight on tour.
I suppose we're lucky, in a sense, to see you here at all, because you've had one or two roughish experiences at the hands of, almost at the hands of the law, haven't you?
I was arrested in New Zealand, yes, and for assault. I grabbed somebody by the shirt, which in New Zealand is one of the chief crimes of the nation. And so I was arrested and acquitted, thank God. So, we had a little trouble in New Zealand. You have to realise that it's a Victorian sort of country, and they don't really like English people very much. It's very anti-pom.
That's not what we've been led to believe, is it? They don't like English people, or they don't like people of your sort?
Oh, thank you very much. No, I think, basically, I suppose there is a great anti-pom feeling, especially when it comes to sport and things like that. I suppose because I am who I am, and I'm young, and I earn a lot of money, etc., etc., they're probably very anti what I stand for. We met a lot of nice people out there, but the general feeling was of hostility from the older sort of people.
Even though I presume the concerts were packed out.
Well, we did a concert in New Zealand to 35,000 people, which is 1% of the population. And the kids were marvellous, but they are everywhere. But you can't sort of... I mean, I'm going to go back to New Zealand, because you can't blame a country. You can't sort of have grudges against people just because 2 or 3 people were nasty to you. And most of the people we met there were really nice.
Apart from England, and apart from which I presume you consider to be home, which is one country in the world where you feel most at home?
I'd have to say America, because I spend so much time there. I spend probably up to 5 or 6 months of the year there. So I'd consider Los Angeles as my second home. But I always consider England as home. It's always sort of a relief to land at London Airport in a sort of way.
Is Los Angeles, as to quote your own favourite word, horrendous, as the rest of us are led to believe it is? That it's a large, smog-ridden conurbation where nothing happens?
It's when you first go there, you love it. There's so much to do. There's Disneyland, and there's all the sights to see, and it's Hollywood, etc., etc. A lot of people don't like it because it has its pitfalls. Obviously, it's very sort of well, really groovy and cosmic, you know. And there's a lot of people out there who are really sort of very dreary like that, and they're so into everything, into hamburgers and hot dogs. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what it is, are you into that? Fabulous! I really love it. You know. So you have to steer clear of that lot.
Are there a lot of them into nature foods?
Oh yes, health food.
Health
and all the
foods.
people that are on health foods look as if they're just about to drop dead, you know. And, but there are a lot of nice people out there. There's a lot of nice people everywhere. But there is a sort of danger of falling into a clique in Los Angeles, which is very groovy, and it's really like a Holocaust, I don't know, whatever it is. It's sort of like Sodom and Gomorrah. I think it's just one day just going to go and go straight into the sea.
Yeah. But it'll have been worthwhile, probably.
I don't know, but I enjoy it over there because I know lots of normal people, which is always helpful.
A good thing. Do newspapers and journalists in particular irritate you or irk you? Or on the whole, do you have a rapport with them?
I think you have to grin and bear it. I mean, I think I have a good relationship with the press. There was a time when I didn't have a particularly good relationship with the press, but I think I was a bit of a spoilt little child then. I had so many good reviews, and then when you start to get the bad reviews, you think, oh, don't like them very much. But you have to, you know that for 6 months you're going to be talked about well, and then the next 6 months they're going to have a go at you. It's paper policy, especially musical papers. They have to sell on controversy. So they're just going to love you for 6 months and then hate you the next. I understand that now. So I have a pretty good relationship.
And you're prepared for that?
Yes, I think you have to be.
Does it recycle itself? Do they come back to you?
Oh, yes, all the time. I mean, most of the people that write for the press are really nice. It's just, as I say, they have to sell newspapers, so they have to be controversial.
Now, you have an immense reputation, public somewhat and private indeed, as being a generous person. Not only are you generous to other people, or seemingly so, though I haven't had a present from you yet, but still that's but you
I gave you a kiss backstage for the champagne. What more do you want, Russell?
I don't want the world to know about it. But apart from that, you seem to be extremely generous to yourself. You adorn your body fairly richly. I mean, you've got, how many rings have you got on?
Well, if you had a body like mine, so would you.
How many rings are you wearing, for instance, at the moment?
3.
Are they all gifts from you to you?
No. There's one gift from me to me, which is that one, and that one was which is a piano, which is a Christmas present, and that one was given to me last week, which is really rather nice. Yeah. So
that's if you hold that up, that's you to you, is it?
Yeah.
Are those real?
They're real. Yeah, they're real diamonds, Russell.
Are they a real girl's best friend and whatnot?
Not really. No, it's just a bit of me coming out. Yes.
But are you generous to people because you feel that you want to share the money that you've got and the happiness that you've got, or is it to kind of, do you think, is it to buy some kind of thing?
Oh no, I think my great philosophy on life is that I could be knocked over by a bus tomorrow. Something could happen to change my life tomorrow that would mean that it was all over, I was knocked down, killed, etc. So I can't understand anyone hoarding money just for the sake of it, for a rainy day, because by the time the rainy day gets there, there's no one to enjoy it with because everyone's died off. So you might as well enjoy it while you can, because I don't go crazy, but I mean, at least I've been able to sort of give my relations something that or friends, it's best to enjoy things, I think, because tomorrow, as I say, I could be knocked over by a car.
Now, you've talked about Hollywood a bit and about Los Angeles. You're a friend of Mae West's, it has been reported.
Not a friend. I've only met her twice. I've been to tea twice. So I would hardly class myself, or would dare to class myself as a friend.
Were you invited to tea?
No. I knew, my publicity man out in Hollywood knew someone who knew her through the record company, MGM Records, and we were invited for an audience, as it's called, I think.
Was it really an audience?
It was it was fantastic. It was an audience.
Please tell me about it.
Well, the first time I went, there was 6 of us, 6 guys, because I mean, we just all wanted to meet Mae West, and we were shown into her apartment in Hollywood, which is all white. It has white everything, white piano, white sofa, everything's white, and you sit there for about 5 minutes, and the Chinese man comes through and says, "Gentlemen, Miss West," and she swishes in, looking fantastic. And she looks at you and goes, wall-to-wall man. And, well, I just went, because she looks just like, I was trying to look for the facelifts, aren't I awful, and things like that. But I mean, she looks fantastic. I mean, I'm sure she hasn't. And the hands, I looked at the hands, and they're beautiful and smooth. And she just looked exactly like she does. She's very, very interesting. She's very coherent, and she's very much into ESP. I'm into ESP, and she tells you all about experiences, and she likes health foods and carrot juice and things like that. With people like that who are legends, who you never think in your whole life that you stand a chance of meeting. Groucho Marx, for example, is another one. You just sit there and let them carry on because you can't say anything because they're so interesting, and the stories they've got to tell are just fantastic. I think she was so ahead of her time, and she was banned on Broadway for a show which was called Sex, way back in the 1920s, I think, and she had to show it in New Jersey because they wouldn't let it on in New York.
The show, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yes. But I think she was very, very far ahead of her time in that respect. And she's also just, well, a fascinating lady to talk to. And I felt very grateful because she doesn't sort of grant audiences to many people.
Did she know who you were?
Not really, no. Groucho Marx doesn't really. Every time I've met him about 8 times, and I've got a poster he signed for me at home, which is to John Elton because he thinks I should spell my name the other way around, and it's to John Elton from Marx Groucho. So he knows I play the piano. Oh, you're the guy that plays the piano, and that's about it. No, they hadn't really heard of me. No.
You've had the distinction, have you not, of having had Katharine Hepburn in your swimming pool?
Fishing out dead frogs, yes. Well, I stood quaking at the side going, there's a frog in the pool, there's a frog in the pool.
But
Right.
How did she come to be in your pool?
Well, she cycled
This
up
is in
the lawn.
London, this is in England.
Yeah, well, I live very closely to Brian Forbes, who did that documentary, and we're very friendly, and he knows her, and of course she's one of my idols as well. And we were having tea one day on the lawn, and up she cycles on the lawn, because at that point we didn't have any gates in front of the house. And oh shoot, she just takes command. She's fantastic. She just takes over, and she goes for a swim, and she does somersaults off the diving board, and I can't even dive in the pool. I sort of edge in very gracefully, or try to. And there was a dead frog in the pool, and I can't. It's one thing in the world I'm frightened of is frogs, because they leap and you don't know where they're going to leap. So I sort of went, there's a dead frog in the pool, and she hates frogs as well. But she just got this big twig, dived in the pool, fished it out, and threw it. And
in whose direction?
Well, not at me, thank goodness. But I said, listen, how on earth could you do that? And she just turned around, and didn't say it for effect. She just said, character, dear boy, character. And sort of just started swimming again. Left me mesmerised.
Have you written at all about all these people that you've met? I mean, there's obviously a book behind this, isn't there?
Well, I keep a diary I've kept a diary for about 5 or 6 years.
Really? Is it a daily diary?
A daily diary.
I mean, you actually sit at night saying, Dear Diary.
Dear Diary. Went up the shops today to get some Windolene, and they'd sold out. And, no, it's all like that, at one point I used to list what I had for every meal, which is, really strange. So I don't do that anymore. But I've kept a diary because I thought, well, in 10 years' time it might be nice to look back on certain things that happened. So it's all there on record.
And you will keep on keeping it, will you? I mean, you're not going to stop.
Oh, no, I just do it. I don't think I'll ever publish them. It's just you look back and you think, God, yeah, I remember doing that. And I've got a fairly good memory anyway. But when you look back and you see things that you've done and you can't really remember them, and then this sort of diary reminds you of them, it's
Is there any scandal in it?
Scandal? No, I don't keep anything that would incriminate. I always thought, well, supposing the police sees them, so I don't sort of keep it. They're just sort of records of what I've done in entertaining and where I've played, how many times I've flown on an aeroplane in a year. And it's very boring, I suppose, but it's just nice to look back.
Do you like flying an aeroplane?
I hate it. If I could find anything that would get me there at the same speed, I'd loathe flying. I hate it.
Supposing you were invited to be one of the first passengers in Concorde across Atlantic in 3.5 hours, would you choose to go with that?
I don't know. I'd like to go in Concorde because I'd like to get it, instead of spending 7 hours to get to New York, I'd rather spend 3.5 because it's 3.5 hours less in the air. I really don't like flying, but if you don't fly, you don't get anywhere, so you just have to keep calm.
Get out and get it done.
Yeah, I could never, if I didn't fly, I just couldn't be in as many places as I can be now.
Now, the music that we're going to hear tonight is called Candle in the Wind and has a strong affiance with Marilyn Monroe.
Aye.
Whom I presume you never met.
No.
But you're obviously, as they would say to you in Sunset Boulevard, you're into Marilyn, are you now?
Well, no, actually, it's really Bernie Taupin, you see. Everyone forgets that Bernie writes all the lyrics, and I just write the melodies to the lyrics.
Well, you're generous enough not to allow people to forget.
Well, I mean, he's really into Marilyn Monroe, so he's really into Marilyn Monroe, man. And you should probably talk to him about it. Well, he's got posters of her stuck all over her house, and he knows a lot about her. And he just came up with this song. So, I mean, I write the melody. I'm a Marilyn Monroe fan too, but I think he's more into Marilyn Monroe than I was, because he knows far more about her. He goes to auctions, where they sell their things. I think that's terrible. Auctions that sell their things off. Ooh. If you imagine they had an auction in Los Angeles where someone actually, you could buy her driving license, and it's very sad to think that nobody loved her enough to actually keep her driving license. I mean, if you had a driving license, you wouldn't give it away. I wouldn't, and I think that's very sad. Still,
but that's one of the penalties of being a cult figure, Elton, isn't it?
Well, she wasn't a cult figure while she was alive, I don't think. I don't think anyone is till they die. Not really. I mean, I suppose there are a couple of instances now, especially in pop business, but in films, I don't think she was that much of a cult figure. She was very popular, but when she died, it was like the tragic Hollywood story, wasn't it? I mean, everybody loves a story like that.
Well, look, can I just say to you that I want to thank you very much indeed for getting into the whole Churchill scene.
Piranha, Russell. All right, I agree.
And we're looking forward now to hearing a song which is called Candle in the Wind.
Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew you at all, you had the strength to hold yourself while those around you crawled. They crawled out of the woodwork and they whispered into your brain. They set you on the treadmill and they made you change your name. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. The candle burned out long before the legend ever did. Loneliness was tough, the toughest role you ever played. Hollywood created a superstar, and pain was the price you paid. And even when you died, oh, the press still hounded you. All the papers had to say was that Marilyn was found in the news. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before the legend ever did. Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew you at all, you had the strength to hold yourself while those around you crawled. Goodbye, Norma Jean, from a young man in the 22nd row who sees you as something more than sexual, more than just our Marilyn Monroe. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. The candle burned out long before the legend ever did. The candle burned out long before the legend ever did.
Thank you very much indeed. Most kind of you. That's all we have time for this week. Next week, we're back at a new time and a new day. That's our original day, Friday, our original time, 10:40. More time to meet more people. Till then, good night to you all.